Welcome to another deep dive. Have you ever paused to consider how ancient communities navigated disputes, those tricky situations, especially when the facts were ambiguous? How did they ensure fairness and uphold their values amidst conflict without, well, modern legal systems?
Today, we're taking a truly fascinating journey into a very specific set of sources from the Cullavagga, an ancient Buddhist text. And this isn't just any old scroll. The Cullavagga is a core part of the Vinaya Pitaka, the basket of discipline. It gives us this unprecedented look into the practical day-to-day governance of the Sangha, the early monastic community.
Okay, so our goal today is really to kind of uncover the whole story of how these processes actually worked. We want to understand the kinds of issues they faced, the ingenious methods they devised to get to the truth, and maybe some of the surprising wisdom embedded in their ancient rules.
Exactly. It's an in-depth exploration into the very fabric of community governance. It reveals how even way back then the challenge of truth, justice, and harmony was meticulously addressed. So what you'll find here are the principles, the specific examples, and the detailed procedures that guided them. And some of it, surprisingly resonates today.
So where do the sources begin? They seem to immediately throw us into a problem, right? We learn about this group of monks, the Chabagya Bhikkhu,
hmm
and they were making decisions, imposing serious penalties on other monks who weren't even present. Things like formal rebuke, requiring dependence, even expulsion and suspension.
Yeah, and what's truly striking here is the immediate concern for due process. The Buddha himself condemned this, stating very clearly that no disciplinary action should be taken against absent monks. It's explicitly called an offense, aparidukayasa.
An offense right from the start.
Right. It underscores the importance of presence and fairness from the get-go.
Yeah.
This highlights a core principle.
Mhm.
You just can't uncover the whole story. You can't get the full picture or make a just decision if a key party isn't even there to speak for themselves.
That focus on presence is powerful. Does the text explain why that transparency was so critical? Was it just fairness? Or did they see it contributing in other ways to, the outcome?
It definitely goes beyond just fairness. The text contrasts Adhamavadi unrighteous speakers with Dhammavadi righteous speakers. Now, if a resolution happened where the, let's say, unrighteous side persuaded the righteous side,
Okay.
that was considered unrighteous, it was seen as merely a semblance of resolution in the presence of the assembly.
Mhm.
Samathakkhandhaka Partipakana. It implies that even if they reached an agreement, if it wasn't actually rooted in truth or righteousness, it wasn't a genuine resolution, just superficial.
Ah, I see. So it wasn't just about ending the argument, but the integrity of how it ended. If the righteous side persuaded the unrighteous, that was considered a righteous resolution in the presence of the assembly Samakabhinayana. It really emphasizes the ethical foundation was paramount.
Exactly. The how mattered just as much as the what.
Among these mechanisms, the sources bring up some specific cases that really bring these principles to life. There's this monk, Daba Malaputta. The story goes he became enlightened at just 7 years old.
That's right. Quite extraordinary. And he dedicated himself to serving the Sangha, taking on the role of arranging lodging and meals.
How did he manage that?
Well, the text details how he intelligently assigned lodging based on the monk's specializations, Siddhanta experts together, Vinaya experts together, meditators together to help them focus their practice.
Oh, interesting. Grouping them by expertise.
Yes. And get this, for those who arrived late or maybe came from far away just to test him, he apparently used his psychic power, a blazing light from his finger, to guide them to their assigned spots, even in remote places like Gichakya.
So Daba wasn't just organized. He had these, well, superpowers to help out. That's quite a detail. But then the story takes a darker turn, doesn't it?
It does. We learn about the Metyapamajaka Bhikkhu.
Yeah.
They were less fortunate, getting the poorer lodging and food.
Right.
And when Daba assigned them to a particular lay devotee's house, the devotee wasn't happy and told his maid to give them only meager food.
Okay, so they felt slighted.
Exactly. And this perceived slight led to a really grave injustice. These Mityapumajaka monks, feeling angry and resentful, convinced a nun, Mitya Bhikkhuni, to falsely accuse Daba Malaputta of sexual misconduct with her.
Oh, wow. That raises a huge question. How do you uncover the whole story? How do you find the truth when you're facing a serious but false accusation like that?
And the Buddha's response is key. Daba Malaputta steadfastly denied it. He said he hadn't even dreamt of such an act since birth. The Buddha then investigated.
He personally investigated.
Yes, the text implies direct involvement or oversight. And this investigation led to the Samathakkhandhaka monks confessing they'd incited the nun out of anger.
So they admitted it.
They did. And this led to the formal introduction of Satyavinaya. This is a specific procedure, meaning resolution through recollection or mindfulness. It's granted to a monk who is pure and blameless, Sudohoki Bhikkhu Anapatiko, who has been accused and requests it.
So it's like a formal vindication.
Precisely. It acknowledges his unimpeachable character and ensures his innocence is firmly established for the whole community. It's about restoring that full confidence, not just clearing his name, making the truth clear.
Then the sources also give us the story of Gaga, another monk. He was described as Murakahoti Sitabipari Sakatonu, basically insane or mentally disturbed.
Yes, that's the description. He committed many improper acts, but when accused, he said he didn't remember them because he was mad or that he did them out of delusion.
So how did they handle that?
Well, this case highlights another critical aspect of uncovering the whole story. You have to understand the person's state of mind. For Gaga, the Buddha allowed ammiha, which means something like discipline for the non-deluded, but applied here to someone who was deluded at the time. It's a procedure for those who committed offenses while mentally impaired and genuinely don't recall them.
So it acknowledges the lack of intent or capacity at the time.
Exactly. The text is careful to differentiate between genuinely insane acts and someone faking madness or even just dreaming about doing something. It shows this deep understanding of culpability applying discipline fairly based on true intent and capacity.
These individual stories are really powerful examples of getting to the truth. But the Cullavagga also zooms out, right? It talks about the bigger systemic mechanisms for handling general offenses and group decisions. Let's dig into those. First up, panyatakarana, or acknowledged offense.
Right. This one is all about admission, about confession, but with integrity. The text rules against punishing monks without their confession. But it goes deeper. It details what makes an admission wrongful.
Wrongful admission. How so?
Like confessing to a lesser offense than you actually committed, or maybe even confessing to a graver one to sort of distract from the real issue.
Okay. Misdirection.
Yeah. And it contrasts that with rightful admission confessing to the actual offense you committed. The emphasis is squarely on honesty and truthfulness from the accused. A confession isn't just saying yes, it's about sincerely acknowledging the actual wrongdoing.
Makes sense. But what about monks who just refuse to play fair? Who wouldn't engage, honestly?
Well, for that, the sources describe tasapapayasaka. It translates roughly to declaration of specific depravity. This was reserved for monks who were persistently deceitful, denying an offense, then admitting it, then denying it again, or just telling deliberate lies in the assembly.
So what did this declaration actually do?
It essentially declared the monk impure, shameless, and culpable, and it removed their right to give testimony or advice in the Sangha. It was a powerful tool to deal with individuals who were actively blocking the process of uncovering the truth through deception.
A serious measure.
Very serious. And the text is careful again, specifying what makes applying it righteous or unrighteous. The monk had to be present, questioned, and crucially, to have actually confessed their deceitful behavior at some point. It wasn't just based on suspicion. It was a kind of last resort for someone who simply wouldn't engage truthfully.
Then there's the process for group decisions, which you hear about more often. Yabuyasika, decision by majority vote.
Yes, this was used when monks were in disputes and just couldn't resolve things among themselves. But, crucially, it was not for grave offenses, like those involving potential expulsion or matters involving lay people. Those needed direct investigation.
So for other disputes?
For other disputes, yes. They would appoint a ballot gatherer, the Salakahapko. And this person had to be absolutely impartial, free from desire, hatred, delusion, or fear. And they had to be able to tell right from wrong speech.
The qualifications sound quite demanding.
They are. And what's really striking is the psychological sophistication here. They understood the need to account for human biases to make the decision legitimate. The text even lists 10 wrongful ways to take a vote, like if the issue is trivial, or if the vote itself is conducted unfairly, and 10 rightful ways, emphasizing significance, righteousness, and promoting harmony.
And the voting itself sounds pretty detailed, too.
Oh, very. There were 3 ways to cast ballots. Gihaka was a secret ballot, using colored slips of wood. Sakatapaka involved whispering the vote to the ballot gatherer. And Vivaka was an open ballot, used only when the righteous side was clearly in the majority and there was no fear of intimidation.
Secret, whispered, open. They really thought about how to accurately capture the collective will, adapting to the situation. It's all geared towards getting an honest picture.
Precisely.
Okay, so moving on. The sources also give us this brilliant framework for understanding conflict itself. They classify issues into four types of adhikaran. What are those?
Right, the adhikara, they are. First, vivadikaranta, which are disputes. These are disagreements over Dhamma, the teachings, or Vinaya, the monastic code. It could be about whether something was taught by the Buddha, rules, procedures, even how serious an offense was. Basically, arguments and differing views.
Okay, disputes. What's second?
Second is anuvadadhikara, which are accusations. This relates specifically to accusations about a monk's morality, their conduct, their views, or even their livelihood, how they're getting support.
Got it. Third.
Third is apatadhikara. This refers directly to offenses themselves, the various categories of rule-breaking a monk could commit.
And the fourth?
Fourth is kikadhikara. These are duties or procedures. They refer to the formal acts the Sangha performs as a community, like official announcements, proposals, ordinations, that kind of thing.
Disputes, accusations, offenses, and duties procedures. That's a neat categorization. But what's really fascinating is how the sources then dig into the roots of these conflicts. It's not just about the surface issue.
Exactly. They looked for the why. For disputes and accusations, the text lists 6 roots. These often spring from disrespect for the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, or the training itself, and include things like anger, hypocrisy, jealousy, deceit, having wrong views. These are the underlying currents, the psychological factors that can derail any attempt to uncover the actual truth.
It really highlights that wisdom of looking past the symptom to the root cause. That feels incredibly relevant today, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a timeless principle.
Yeah.
The sources also mention the classic 3 unwholesome roots: greed, hatred, and delusion as common causes. But interestingly, it also identifies 3 wholesome roots.
Wholesome roots for disputes.
Yes, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. This suggests that even arguments rooted in genuinely wanting to uphold truth or clarify a teaching can still fall under the category of dispute. It raises this important point. Not all disagreement is inherently bad if the intention behind it is wholesome.
I love that nuance. So conflict isn't automatically negative if the motivation is pure. That's quite insightful. What about the roots of the other adhikaran?
Well, for accusations, the text even mentions things like physical appearance or speech impediments as potential roots if they lead to someone being targeted unfairly. For offenses, the sources outline 6 origins, basically, whether an offense was committed through body, speech, mind, or some combination. And for procedural matters, the root is simply the Sangha itself, since it's about their collective actions.
It's such a comprehensive approach. Understanding the nature of the issue, its origins, the motivations, it's all part of uncovering the whole story.
Definitely. And the text goes on to categorize these adhikara as wholesome, unwholesome, or neutral, based on the intentions involved. The only exception is offenses, which can only be unwholesome if intentional, or neutral if unintentional.
Okay, so that's the framework for understanding conflict. Now for the really practical part. How were these adhikarana actually resolved? The sources detail 7 methods, the samatha.
Yes, the 7 resolutions. And the overarching principle, the foundation for most of them, is Samathakkhandhaka resolution in the presence of the assembly. We keep coming back to this, but it's fundamental for getting to the facts because it requires 3 things to be present.
Okay, what are they?
First, Sangha presence. All the eligible monks have to be there, or consent gathered from anyone absent, and no objections raised by those present. Second, Dhamma Vinaya presence. The resolution has to align with the teachings and the code. It can't contradict core principles.
Right, and third?
Third, individual presence. The disputants, the accused and accuser, or the parties involved must be face-to-face.
Presence of the community, the rules, and the individuals. It ensures decisions aren't made in secret or without everyone being heard and involved.
Exactly. Now, for vivadadhikaran disputes, if direct resolution under Samukkhabbanaya fails, then Yahuyasika, the decision by majority, comes into play with all those voting procedures we discussed.
Right, the impartial ballot gatherer and everything.
Yes. And if the dispute was particularly complex, they might appoint an ubahika, an arbitration committee of wise, learned monks. Their job was to thoroughly investigate, really dig deep, and try to resolve it. If they couldn't, they'd bring it back to the full Sangha for that majority vote.
Okay. What about resolving anuvadadhikaran accusations?
Well, again, Samukkhabbanaya is the baseline, everyone present, but then we see those specific procedures we talked about earlier. Sattavaya, for someone demonstrably innocent, like Dabamalaputa.
The resolution by recollection.
Right. Then amuhavinaya, for someone genuinely mentally impaired at the time, like Gaga. And tasapapiyasika, for someone proven to be persistently deceptive. Each method is tailored to uncovering the specific truth behind that accusation, vindication, acknowledgement of impairment, or a declaration of deceit.
It's like a toolkit matched to the situation. And for apathantikarta, offenses.
Beyond the essential samukhavinaya, the main tool here is patikarana, the admission of the offense we discussed. Direct, honest confession, whether to one monk, a small group, or the full Sangha. Again, the focus is on the integrity of that admission.
Okay, that covers most of them. But there's one more resolution method that sounds, well, quite different. Tikavataraka, covering with grass.
Ah, yes. This is a truly fascinating and I think profound approach. It offers a really pragmatic way to handle certain complex situations while still trying to, in a sense, acknowledge the whole story. It was used when monks had committed many, perhaps minor but numerous, improper acts during protracted disputes.
So, like, things got messy during a long argument.
Exactly. And prosecuting every single little infraction would just cause even more disunity, more conflict. Dhyavataraka allows for a kind of mutual confession and settlement that essentially covers these lesser offenses, like grass growing over and covering a field, in order to prioritize harmony and allow the community to move forward.
So it's like acknowledging things happened, but choosing not to pursue every detail for the sake of peace. That requires some real wisdom.
It does. It's a strategic way to restore peace. But, and this is crucial, the text clearly states this method excludes grave offenses, like things requiring expulsion. It also excludes matters involving lay people or offenses that were already openly admitted before this procedure began. It's not about sweeping serious things under the rug.
Got it. So it's a specific tool for a specific kind of communal healing after conflict. And the last of the karana, the duties procedures.
Kekatakara. Those are resolved simply by Samathakkhandhaka. Since they are formal acts of the Sangha itself, they just require the proper assembly and procedures to be valid.
Wow. Okay, so stepping back, what does this all mean for us? This deep dive into ancient monastic law. It's not just history, is it? It feels like a profound lesson in conflict resolution itself.
I think so. The
Right.
meticulous procedures, the emphasis on honesty, considering mental state, even that strategic use of covering with grass, it all speaks to this incredibly deep understanding of human nature and what it takes to maintain community harmony.
It really makes you think.
It raises an important question for us today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In our own lives, our workplaces, our communities, when we face disputes or accusations, do we truly strive to uncover the whole story? Do we look for the roots of the conflict, consider intentions, prioritize a fair process, and aim for genuine resolution over just, stopping the argument? The Cullavagga offers this powerful reminder that justice isn't solely about punishment. It's also about clarity, about healing, and about the long-term health and well-being of the community. Getting to the truth is part of that.
The ancient world offering a compelling reminder that getting to the truth in all its messy complexity is a journey. It requires wisdom, empathy, and yeah, maybe a clear framework helps too. It's not just about following rules, but about building and maintaining something valuable together. Definitely something to mull over.
Indeed.
Join us next time for another deep dive.